Hey everybody, in today's tutorial you will learn how to make my Orseund iris inspired dress. I would also like to clarify that I'm doing things my way, so if it's not your way, do it your way. So materials. You're going to need some fabric, 1 to 3 yards depending on your body type and how long you want your dress to be. I got 1 yard of bubble gauze from Joann's. You will need fabric scissors, elastic, boning, elastic thread, matching thread, your favorite sleeve pattern. I self-drafted a puff sleeve pattern, and a zipper foot. If you don't have a zipper foot, no worries, it's just a lot easier with one. Since we're going to be shirring in this video, it's important to know how much material you need for your body. I usually wrap the material around my body once and then do a half point in between my chest. This is what works for me, but you may need more depending on how tight you want your dress to be. But also figure out how long you want it to be and then put a pin where you are going to cut off the excess. The excess fabric that you cut off you are going to want to save because we will use it later. With the excess, we should be able to make our booby tubies, our sleeves, our waist tie, and our 4 straps. So here you can see that I am cutting out both of my sleeves with this excess. I had to fold it over twice, as you can see, so that I could get the sleeve on the fold. It just depends on how much fabric you have. You might not have to do this, but this is the easiest way for me to use the most material. From this portion of the fabric, I will cut out a long strip, which will give me the 4 straps that I need for my dress. And I'm just folding it over here to see if it will end up being the width that I want for each strap, and for me it worked out perfectly. So next we're going to be figuring out how big we want our booby tubies to be from our boning. So you're going to just put it underneath your boob and just figure out how big you want it to be. Then you're going to lay it flat on some extra fabric that we have, and just make sure that it fits in the encasing properly. You want to make sure the encasing is bigger, because if it is the exact size or too small, then feeding the boning through later on is going to be really annoying. And then later you're just gonna sew around it, and that will be the encasing for your booby tubies. So I'm just finishing off my edge with the zigzag stitch. If you have a serger, you can use that, but for me, zigzag stitch was good enough. We are gonna double roll this hem, so if you don't want a zigzag, you don't have to, but for me, it just ensured that, you know, it'll be good to go. And so I'm just ironing down the first part of the hem, and then I'm rolling it over and ironing it down again. Please iron. Ironing is so important. So now I'm just closing off that double rolled hem with a straight stitch. And then I'm shirring, and you'll be shirring for forever. I shirred 18 lines for this. And then you're gonna run out of bobbin thread, and you're gonna have to re-roll that elastic thread. Yeah, so I did 18 lines of shirring. You can do however many you want. That's what's great about this project, is it's so versatile. You can literally do whatever you want with it. So I'm just shirring and shirring and shirring and shirring and shirring. I decided to take a little break and play some cup pong. And then I just keep on shirring. As you can see here, I'm giving myself motivation to keep going, even though you can clearly see I don't have it. You good? You good? Yes? No? You good? Okay. Okay, cool. And then after you finish shirring, you're going to turn your dress right sides facing and close up your edges. You will probably want to cut out the elastic and the extra thread later on. I never do because I'm lazy. And then you just want to try it on, make sure it fits right. Do you remember that extra piece of material from the bottom of your dress? You're going to turn that right sides facing and close it off, because this will be your waist tie later on. I like to pink shear. I like to use my pinking shears to cut off the excess fabric on the inside of ties. And then I put in a safety pin, flip it around, and then I'm just gonna feed that bad boy through. And if you didn't iron your edges in before you sewed it up, then you're just gonna do that afterward and close it off. And then here's when you try your waist tie to see how it's making your dress look, and then you do a happy dance, and then you move on to your sleeves. So try to make sure that you cut your sleeves long enough. I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. I could have, but I didn't. But yeah, you're gonna wanna make sure that your elastic will fit through your casing. And this could have been solved if I had a smaller elastic. So just get whatever elastic size you like. Then you're gonna iron it down, and then I like to double it. So I iron one edge down, and then I fold it over again with the allowance that is needed for the elastic, just because it's neater and cleaner. And then you're gonna pin it off and sew it down. I ended up having to use my rolled hem foot because my sleeves were just too short to put in that thick elastic. So here I'm just finagling with my rolled hem foot, and you can see that it kind of gets all bubbly. I think that's because my material is kind of thin. So I have to iron it down to make sure that, you know, it isn't rolling over awkwardly. Ironing really helps. So because my elastic wouldn't fit through a casing, I ended up having to do this method where I pull on the elastic from both ends and then do a zigzag stitch, excuse me. I don't really like doing it this way personally because it looks messier on the inside, and sometimes if you're not far enough from the edge, you can see the elastic from the outside of the garment. It just depends on what you prefer. I don't really prefer this method, but I had to do this because my elastic was just too thick. And then after, you're going to close off your sleeve, and then you will try on your dress again, put on your sleeve on your shoulder, figure out where you want it to lay exactly, and then attach it. So the material from earlier for our straps, I cut it in half, and then I like to iron down in the middle so that I can get a clean cut. So I'm cutting off the selvage right now, and then I'm gonna cut down the middle of it, and then those will be 2 straps. So I'll ultimately have 4 straps at the end. So you can see I'm ironing it down here after I cut off the selvage. I'm gonna cut down the middle of it. And then after, I will just iron down the strap again, like I'm doing here. I like to roll in the edge on the inside so that it's clean when you have to sew it. And then you're gonna fold it so that that edge is on the outside. And then you're just going to sew down. And then cut off the excess, whether you have regular scissors or pinking shears. Just getting focus here a couple times. And then you're gonna put your safety pin in and flip it all the way through till you have a nice, pretty strap, which you will iron later. And then I'm just closing off the straps. And now this is the casing for our booby tubies. So you're just gonna do a straight stitch all the way down one edge, and then you're gonna flip it and do the same thing. Again, you're going to cut off the excess fabric because you don't need it, and then you're going to flip it inside out. Flipped upside out, you are going to put your boning on top, make sure that it'll fit, and then you're going to feed it through. This is kind of an annoying process because it takes a little while, because my boning has, you know, material on the outside which protects it so that it doesn't like puncture my fabric. If you don't have that, I would recommend just getting boning that has it on the outside, the fabric, because it just makes things easier. But it's a lot of finagling, and then eventually you will have a clean booby tubie. So after you finish your booby tubies, you're going to want to try on your dress and figure out where you want everything to be placed. So you're going to figure out where you want your booby tubies to go, where you want your straps to go, and where you want your sleeves to go. After you do that, then you'll take it off after everything is pinned down in their positions. Then you're going to sew underneath the booby tubies, you're going to sew on the straps, and you're going to sew on your sleeves. So here I'm being a silly head and I'm using my walking foot to attach these booby tubies. Please don't do this. This is so frustrating, and I was so annoyed because this is literally the last portion of the project. Make sure that you use a zipper foot. It simplifies the whole process. Yeah, and after you do this, then you're done. Thank you all for watching this tutorial. If there was anything that was confusing, let me know. You can DM me, you can comment, anything, the above, all of it. I do want to be as helpful as I can so that you can make this dress too. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this dress and that this tutorial was helpful for you. Okay, bye!